channel. I'm Dee, and I've been making up a lot of peanut brittle for Christmas. This is a great gift if you don't have a lot of money. You can buy little tins at the grocery store and put some peanut brittle in, and people will absolutely love it. I put these in these bags, and vacuum packed bags, and they keep for a couple of months like this. You don't want to store it in the fridge, but you can, I think, maybe in the freezer, but I prefer these in tins at room temperature. Okay, so let's get going. Now, it's important when you make peanut brittle to have everything set up before you even start. Okay, so the first thing you need is a heavy pot. That makes candy making easier. And you put in 1 cup of sugar. You're also going to need 1/2 cup of corn syrup. You need 1/4 cup of water, 2 tablespoons of butter, and a teaspoon of baking soda. I put baking soda in mine. It makes it more opaque, not clear, but it also lightens it so it's not as hard and it's easier to eat. You don't get that feeling like you're going to break your teeth. I don't like that hard, so that's why we're adding that. And 1 1/4, 1 1/2 cups peanuts. Some people do it up to 2. I don't like that many peanuts in it. And we also, wooden spoon. You need a pan that's been buttered, and you also need a thermometer. I don't always use one. I sometimes go by time, but I'll show you that when we get to that. So the first thing is we're going to put in our corn syrup and get this going. Now, I usually put my about medium. I do the entire thing on medium heat. So I keep this at about 4 on my burner, and my burner goes up to 8. So it's basically halfway, and I'm going to put in the water. I usually fill up the water measuring cup again with water just to put my thermometer in it. Because the candy tends to stick to it. And we are just going to let this heat up until the sugar is dissolved and it starts to boil. The mixture has just started to boil, so I'm going to throw in my roasted nuts, and we're going to cook those right in it with it. Now, all we have to do is wait for the temperature to go up to 300 Fahrenheit. Now, I'm going to keep track of how long I actually have it on this temperature, so I can let you know. But it's going to be a while. And you don't need to stir this constantly like this, but you can't leave it alone and walk away for 5 minutes. The sugar and the nuts will burn on the bottom. So you just stir it pretty frequently and let it cook, and I'll show you what it looks like throughout the process. It's now at a rolling boil, and that just means when you stir it, the boiling doesn't stop, and we're just going to keep that going. This is what it looks like after 5 minutes from adding the peanuts, and the temperature is at about 242 right now, so we have a ways to go. It has now been 8 minutes. It's about 265 degrees right now, and you'll find that it almost seems like it's thicker, that there's less sauce and almost all peanuts. So it's getting there. And once it gets up high into the 80s, it's going to go really quick. It has taken 9 minutes and it's hit 300. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this off the heat. I'm going to put in the butter. And be careful, folks, because candy is extremely hot. It can really burn you. and a little bit of vanilla. I forgot to mention that. We're going to mix this in until the butter melts. And once it does, we're going to add the baking soda, and you'll see it gets a creamy look to it. And once it does, it's time to put it out onto your baking pan. Okay, you want to get this out on your baking pan as soon as possible. And the minute you do, you're going to rock it back and forth. You want it to spread out. And if you don't get it to spread out, it's going to be really thick. And you want this to be enjoyable to eat. You don't want people to think they're going to break their teeth on it. So I just keep moving it around, and I try to almost take up the whole pan. I never quite manage to, but I know when I get it out this far enough, it's going to be thin enough where it's going to be really enjoyable to eat. And look at that, just with those few ingredients, look at this big batch of peanut brittle that was made. This only takes a few minutes to harden. It's not hours long. And I'm just going to let this sit until it gets firm. Okay, our peanut brittle is done, and I'm going to show you some other things I was up to in the kitchen today. These are mud pies, and I put little chocolate covered pretzel nibs all in them. Dress them up a bit. I have posted this Rolo cookie recipe not too long ago. I'll link it above. Everybody is going crazy over them. I've had to make more, so I'm making a double batch. This is just some of them. And this is our peanut brittle. It's just been sitting on the counter. You're just going to lift it up and just start breaking it into pieces. You're going to store this in airtight containers. So vacuum packed bag, tin, something like that, just to keep it away from the moisture. And this makes an excellent gift. This is great to give to teachers or just the people you want to give something nice to, but there's not a lot of money. You can buy a tin for $1 at the dollar stores, put some homemade pretzel, some homemade peanut brittle in there, and for the cost of a couple of dollars, they'll be elated with it. So give it a try. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy baking.